Hello, internet friends. Do you want to learn how to share a 360 virtual tour such as this that you can share with your clients that they can touch but not change their 3D model? Well, stick around. I'll show you how I do this. All right, so a couple things in Chief Architect. You got to start off with the model, of course. I'm going to do a whole new version of a 3D tour and show you how I do this. To start off with, let's work with some camera defaults. By getting into camera defaults, I'm going to double click on the camera tool, and I'm going to double check and make sure my field of view is 75 degrees. I like to do that. I thought I'd set up my template to be 75 degrees, but it doesn't look that way. 75 degrees seems to be appropriate for the angle of view, like a normal, like what we see with our eyes, and that way the views look, I think, best in the renderings. Clip surfaces within I've set at 6 degrees, and I'm going to click OK. A couple things on, I'm going to turn off all these dimensions here. A couple things about camera views. So with the camera, I'm going to click at point A out here in the outside of the model and let go at point, I'm dragging, and I'm going to let go at point B in the middle of the model. You'll notice I'm first in the mouse orbit camera tool, and that spins around the model. What that's actually doing, let me switch to a split screen here. Point A is where I'm standing in this rendering and viewing the model. Point B is the center of radius. In this mouse orbit camera, that's the point at which we are spinning the model around. So as I spin it, you'll notice the camera moves around the model in plan view. However, if I were to switch to pan camera, you would see we move up and down, left and right. I like to practice viewing the model with this mouse tilt camera option. And I do that because the panorama views that Chief Architect exports will spin around a 360 degree view around the camera itself, not around point A out here at the camera, not point B, the center of this X. So that's what the mouse tilt camera does, is it spins the rendering around the camera. And you'll notice the camera is not moving, point B is moving in the plan view. So let's take an interior shot and you see the difference. Now let me back up, do an exterior shot. If I do a short point A to point B, that mouse orbit camera will almost mimic the mouse tilt camera, but it still doesn't quite mimic it because it actually is spinning around point B. In the rendering it looks similar, but it's not quite the same for the panorama views. I'm going to do an interior shot here. And again we will split screen, zoom in on this plan view, and you'll see mouse orbit camera spins around point B, mouse pan camera spins around the camera. This is particularly important to know because if you are in, say, a small bathroom or you want to see the view from, say, like the range or in front of the island, and you've only got 4 feet between the range and the island, you might come up with this case where you're really close to an object and it looks good. Whoops. do it this way. It looks good this way. I'm going to switch into mouse tilt camera. But as you spin around, it actually is starting to clip some of these surfaces, like this wall is being clipped. And you want to do that because the 360 panorama is going to render that awkward clipping here, just like we're seeing on the screen right now. So I do this mouse tilt camera in a full 360 to check up, down, and spin around so that I'm not getting that situation. I'm going to move left and right to try to get, and maybe back. I'm hitting the L, R, and B keys on my keyboard for left, right, and back. And just position the camera in a position that, in a location that does not show any clipping. I'm also double checking to make sure the model is looking accurate in all 360 degrees. Let's just look at the floor for sure, and the ceiling. Yeah. Okay. This camera is in a position that we can now export a panorama view. I'm going to, in my toolbar, I've got it set up right here that we can export panorama. You can also do File, Export 360 Panorama. Now for the processes of what I showed you earlier on the website, you do have to save this to disk. I'm going to browse to a location to save it to the disk, and I like to make a file for folder called Virtual 360, and that's where I put all my panoramas. And this is the test. I'm typically give it client name, test 360, so I know it's a panorama. This is the kitchen, and this is view number 1. And click OK, and click OK. It's going to save this panorama to the disk, to the hard drive. You can have the option to upload it to the Chief Architect Cloud. There's some limits to that, and I like the options that my it's not my website. The website I'm going to show you has better. I'm going to take a different view from this kitchen. I'm going to do the mouse tilt camera, just spin it around, make sure everything's, and that's close to the wall, so I'm going to back it up a bit, hit the B key. Everything looks good. I'm going to export this. Now I can't export it as V1, this is V2, so I hit browse, just change 1 to 2, click OK. And we'll do one more. Close that. Let's say I do one right here at the edge of the stairs. Mouse tilt camera. Look up and down. You can see down to the hallway there, into the kitchen. I'm not clipping anything, so that's good. This is one of those tight places that's why it's important to set your field of view, and particularly that clip after 6 inches. I think by default Chief has it clip after 12, so 6 works better. I'm going to do export and change this to 360 Hall. And this is just V1. And save. Now let's go to the website. Okay, the website is theasys.io. I'll leave a link in the description. And logging in, we're going to go here. We start off with my account, API keys, plugins, etc. We're going to go to virtual tours. And on the right, we're going to add a new tour. Tour title is test, model, click on add. Oh, my doggy's joining us. You can add Google tracking codes, password protected, and domain specific enabled, add a description if you like. I honestly don't mess with any of this. Even the description I don't do a lot with. Click on Upload Panoramas and Build Virtual Tour. Now we go into the Virtual Tour Editor. I'm going to surf in my file browser over to... I'm going to select these three test panoramas that, oh, by the way, this is what a panorama looks like if we're just viewing it without the website processing it. It's warped and it does go from edge to edge, top to bottom, but it doesn't make sense. If you just emailed these files to your client, it wouldn't make any sense. That's why we got to process it through this website. This website is a paid service. I get nothing out of it, but I just wanted to point you to a service that works. I used to use Sketchfab, but I found Sketchfab no longer works. And I like the options with Theasys better. So I'm going to drag all three down to this up arrow upload toolbar, and it will upload them and process them. So in the space of about a minute, I've got all three views processed. And in this panel up here, in this pane up here, you can actually spin it around and see the view there. If you want to reorder them, you can move and reorder these panorama thumbnails by hovering over the thumbnail and find this four-way arrow in the top left, and you can drag it from place to place there. So I could have the kitchen first or do the exterior first if we did that. And that's how you move the panoramas. In this view, first of all, I'm going to go to Panorama Properties and change the title of each of these. You'll see where this comes important. So I'm going to select each one. You certainly don't have to do any of this. Oh, don't forget to hit save. Let's customize and preview, and hit the pink preview button, and you'll see what's going on so far. You could do this as your tour, and to get to the next view, they would have to click on the icon in the bottom. And you can see this is the hall, kitchen 1, kitchen 2. Those are the titles that we gave them. So they could transport from one location to the other, and you'd be done. Let's click on the upload and build virtual tour again. We're back into this space. You can do more editing. So let's go back to Chief Architect. And I'm going to do a perspective floor overview. And give like a top-down view for kind of like a map. And we're going to export this as just a picture. I call it Dollhouse. I'm also going to export a couple of views from here, just flat views. Export picture. Now, I would generally not put it in the virtual 360. I'd change this to the renderings and call it Test Hall 1. These are for thumbnails so that these thumbnails down here do not look strange. If I do these thumbnails here, it will make sense for the website. So I'm going to export this as test kitchen v1. And from this side, export this as test kitchen, just change the name to v2. And back to our website. All right, so the thumbnails, I can upload a custom thumbnail, and I'm going to click on this up arrow, and there's test hall 1. I'm going to upload that as the thumbnail, and I'm going to upload the same as the custom share image. I don't know what custom share image does exactly, but I figured it's not going to hurt to upload them. So upload kitchen 1 and the share image. You can drag the files into this. I just find it's quicker to click here and however you like to do it. Okay. Next is the floor plan situation. If you've got multiple floors, you may have to take like Photoshop and stitch these dollhouse views together. I've done that before where I like have basement, first floor, second floor, and put it all as one file, because this floor plan only accepts one file. And then in Photoshop I might label them as basement, first floor, second floor, so that we can see what's going on with that. I'm going to drag this, in this case, I'll show you what that looks like, drag it over that, and it's processing. Now you can zoom in and out, you can pan around by dragging it. And then with the current panorama visible, I can't take, so I'm in kitchen 2, I can't take hall and drag it over here. It will tell you only the opened panorama can be added. So kitchen 2 I can drag to here, and kitchen 2 goes in this corner. I'm going to drag that icon where it's at. The only trouble is I'm not exactly, this field of view isn't pointing in the right direction. So I'm going to go back to panorama properties, and under projection and behavior I'm going to adjust this panorama 0 point. Chief Architect for some reason is always 180 degrees out from what Theasys thinks it is. So I'm going to adjust it to 180, get as close to 180 as I can. Sometimes it's 179, sometimes I hit it right on 180. Go back to floor plan. Well, now it's made a liar out of me. Okay, so we are not at 180, we're at what? Nope, no, not vertical offset. What am I doing? Just 180. What is it, 90 degrees? Nope, it's 270 degrees. There we go. Adjust 270. There we go. So in the view, I'm looking at the back door, and this field of view is showing I'm at the back door. I don't recall ever seeing 270 before. All right, same with kitchen. I'm going to click on kitchen, drag that into the icon here, and go to panorama properties and adjust this, it looks like, to 270. So, yep, I'm looking at the back door, that's correct. Looking down the hallway, This field of view is correct. All right, same with hallway. Drag hallway. I'm just dragging this thumbnail into the spot and moving that into place. And we're going to adjust to 270. Forever it's been doing 180. I don't know why suddenly it's doing 270, but there we go. Looking down toward the kitchen, toward the dining room. Okay. So that's the map. The other thing I can do is hotspots. I like to do icons, iconicons, and I search for arrow. And I just use these little triangles. So I'm going to drag an arrow over here into the kitchen. That's a hot spot, so to speak, to go to my kitchen 1 view. Now, to make that into a hotspot, a clickable hotspot, would have to currently, let's refresh this. I see that, but I can't click on it. I've updated this down here, so I can jump from hall to kitchen 1 to kitchen 2. I have done the the dollhouse view, the map, is under this globe. So if I click on the globe, I can again zoom by using my scroll wheel, which mine is for some reason very sensitive. Or I can drag and see the icons. And I can click on each icon to change views as well. So let's go back into our editor and make this a link to switch to kitchen 1. I'm going to scroll down here in hotspots. And this hotspot that's red, got a red box around it, is selected, has no action. You could do several actions, but we're going to link to panorama. This preview shows up top, and I'm going to drag kitchen 1 up into the preview. So now this hotspot is going to become a panorama. Or not become, it's going to become a hot link that jumps me to kitchen 1. If for some reason I want to move this link somewhere, I have to hit the M key on my keyboard, and then you can drag it around. Alright, so that's that. Let's refresh this again. And spin around to, that is now a hot link to my kitchen view. Alright, one thing I will notice is if you don't like the way Theasys is pulling up, say, this first initial view here, you can move your view in the editor and right click and I thought it was right click. Yeah, there it is. Right click, set default view. So now when I refresh this, the default view will be more toward the stairs. Going into the kitchen, I want another hotspot over in the corner here. I can double click on that and link to a panorama and drag that kitchen 2 over there. Now I also want to spin it around and drop a spot here in the hallway. Double click on it, link to panorama, and drop the hallway up there. Go to kitchen 2. I want to spin this around. I'm going to right click and make this the default view. Let's do that with kitchen 1 as well. This is the default view here. Kitchen 2. Let's drop an icon in there to kitchen 1, and let's do a right arrow down the hall for the hallway version. I'm going to double click on that, link to panorama, drag the hall, double click on this one. double click on this one, link to panorama, and drag the kitchen to. Let's go back and refresh our test model. I can spin around. I can go to the kitchen. Didn't save that default view for some reason. I could go back to the hallway here. I could go over to kitchen 2. I could go back to kitchen 1, or directly down the hallway from kitchen 2. The last thing you've got to do once you've set those, let's go to kitchen 1. Set my default view again. You can right click and add a hotspot like from here. You can replace the panorama if something's changed in your model and you re-export a new panorama. You might have to move these hotspots a little bit. Again, select the hotspot and hit the M key to move it around. Sometimes the panorama just isn't, like maybe the angle of camera isn't the same, so when you export it, it's just like the hotspot isn't in the doorway or isn't in the right spot. So you just have to adjust it if you re-upload a panorama. All right, once you've got these set, however much detail you want to set here or not, you can customize preview. Click on the Use It link here and send your client this link. One other thing I'll point out I like to do, noticed, is in the, so I'm going to hit the Customize pencil. The Tour Embed options has a lot of new things here. In the logo updates, you can just drag a logo and even give it a link. And click on Submit so that your logo will show up in the view in the tour here. It should. Let's preview a new tab. There it is, and it's actually a link to your website. So you can brand it as well here. Your clients can use virtual goggles. They can click on different thumbnails down here. They can go to the floor plan and see what they're looking at. Click on the icons to jump back and forth, or they can use the hotspots to jump back and forth as well. And hopefully give them a view of your project. One thing I will notice, particularly if you're outside doing an exterior rendering, let's do this full camera like this. If you're going to do the exterior rendering, notice how when I move the model, the backdrop does not move. This is a flat JPEG, this backdrop, unless you've got a spherical backdrop. Trying to turn this flat backdrop into a spherical view from the exterior particularly is really, it really warps this view, this backdrop view. So I tend to right click, if I'm doing an exterior, I right click and technique options and uncheck the backdrop. So I just have this white backdrop, and that way it's not warped in the model. You can kind of see, if we go here, it doesn't look so bad when you're just seeing a clip of it through the window, but it definitely is stretched and looks odd out this window, even in the interior. It doesn't look so as bad when you're from the interior because you got walls, but I don't know, the exterior looks funny to me. So I hope this has been helpful. If you have maybe another website solution that you use, I'd be curious to look into that. Again, Theasys is a paid service, but I think it's very, very worthwhile in communicating and sharing designs so that our clients can digest and enjoy the process. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Have a great day.